Cattle, amongst all the livestock, are very important for any lands, especially for India. And in cattle, we find several indigenous breeds. You name them like Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, Ongol, Tharparkar, etc. These different breeds are found in different parts of the country depending upon the climate, and these have developed over centuries of selection by nature and by man, by the farmers. In the different tracts in the country, like the Tharparkar tract, which is there in Jaisalmer area of Rajasthan, you have an area where you have a specific kind of animals. They have got different phenotypic characters, and also they have got special genetic characters basically, by virtue of which you can identify these animals. For example, Tharparkar are little grey in color, and they have got dark forehead, especially the males where the color is darker. Similarly, you have Ongol, where the animals are massive, and the breed is used for both the purposes, for draft as well as for meat. This gives a glimpse about the different kinds that we have in the country. Sahiwal is other, Red Sindhi is still other, Deoni of Maharashtra is still another. There is something very special about these breeds. The breeds belong to a tract, and in its own tract, these breeds perform very efficiently, very well. It is this efficiency which is important for human beings, because we take care of these animals as well as we utilize the products from these cattle, Govansh. The products which we utilize, of course, mainly milk, so that nutritional requirements are met, and draft power, so that the agricultural operations can be taken care of, and other features like even leather is of use as an industry, and today you see that even gomay or gobar or dung has also been put to bigger use, because this has got excellent qualities as a manure. Plenty of it is in use as a fuel which saves wood, and also gomutra or cow urine, which has its own applications. Many medicines which are claimed to be useful in several diseases, some of them where allopathy is not able to do excellently well or has some side problems. If we look again, if we look at how these different breeds have come up, it is because of the climatic differences in different parts, because of the biomass differences, because of the rain, because of temperature, and all these features together act on the living systems. Cattle is one such example, and affect changes into that. Some of these changes are very important in the sense that the animals in the hot regions are tolerant to heat. It simply means that we do not have to spend a lot in maintaining those animals in that kind of environment. You take the example again of Tharparkar cattle. Tharparkar cattle belongs to Jaisalmer area, which is very hot. Temperature goes and touches up to 48 or 50 degrees Celsius. Now, these animals, the Tharparkar animals, are heat tolerant. They can still continue to survive enough well in the climates which are hot, and still whatever little is available, they are able to eat and get and maintain themselves and also produce. Their reproduction is also quite okay in spite of the high temperature. If in the same situation you bring up a breed from cold regions, that breed won't be able to maintain equally well. To maintain that breed, you will have to spend a lot more, just so that the heat tolerance which is absent as a quality of the temperate animal, for that you have to spend a lot to maintain the animal, to try to maintain the temperature of the surroundings by maybe cooling, by maybe spraying water on these animals and doing it continuously, which is again a managemental requirement, but again very costly, and it is not at all suitable for the farmers. Similarly, you have other breeds for different climates. The other important aspect is the utilization of these animals. Cattle is used, of course, mainly for milk in India and also for draft power. Other uses are also there. Let us call them as secondary uses, primary uses being milk and draft power. And our breeds have developed according to these uses. We have in the country several breeds, but largely placed in the eastern part of, sorry, in the western part of India. Eastern part doesn't have much of the good quality breeds. In the western part, like right from Rajasthan to Gujarat to Maharashtra down, we have good quality breeds. In the northern side, the breeds are more milk oriented. We call them as milch breeds. You take the example of Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, Rathi, Tharpakar also is a dual purpose breed. And coming here to Gujarat, you take Gir. Gir may be said to be the best milch breed of the country. Even Dhyani of Maharashtra. We have these breeds which are more milch oriented. And also we have breeds which are more work oriented. Work oriented breeds like Amrit Mahal, Halikar. These are the breeds which are Dangi, more draft power oriented. And depending upon the farmer's desires and requirements and selection, the dual purpose breeds is also another set that we have in the country. As I said, Tharparkar is one. We have more breeds of this kind like Nimari is there, Mewati is there. These are the breeds which are used for both, for milk as well as for draft power.
What are so special about the Indian breed, Indian indigenous breed, as opposed to other type of cows like Holstein, Jersey, and the imported breeds?
Indian indigenous breeds have the features I just mentioned. The heat tolerance is one important feature. Another important feature is the disease resistance power of these animals. Diseases are always there in the environment, and several diseases are generally prevalent in different areas, in different tracts. A breed which is living in an area, surviving in a tract, is also exposed to those diseases. Over centuries, what has happened, slowly the animals which have the capacity to live in spite of the disease are able to survive and reproduce better, and that has resulted into selected animals which are able to live in spite of the presence of the disease. These animals somehow have their genes altered, and they have the genes which have the capacity to give the powers to the animal to survive in spite of the presence of disease. These animals are generally not harmed by the disease, not affected by the disease. In other words, these diseases are less effective on Indian kinds of animals or indigenous breeds. The farmers or whosoever is maintaining the animals has to spend much less. Do you see that the disease control needs efforts, veterinary support, money, medication, everything has to be done. That is not so much required. The requirement of this kind is much less in the animals of indigenous breed because of their own innate capacity to survive in the areas where disease is affecting other kinds. Now, make a comparison. If in the same area where the indigenous breed is there, Gir, for example, in Gujarat, Saurashtra and surrounding areas, if you bring in a breed from other environments, that breed from the other environment is suitable for the other environment, that much is okay. But when you bring that breed or animals, for example, Jersey or Holstein or Brown Swiss or Red Dane, then these animals will not be able to stand or tolerate the diseases because they do not have the genetic makeup, they do not have the genes which, with the help of which they are able to fight with those diseases. The immune system is not tuned in a manner which is required in the Saurashtra kind of environment. It is the local breed, Gir, maybe Kankaraj, which is around, which will be able to perform in a more efficient manner, and the farmers will find less problems. So, the idea which comes up from here is that the local breed and the local environment, we should attempt to match this as much as possible. Then what is the problem? Why can't we do it? We are unable to do this in an excellent, in a good manner because at a time when milk yield of the country was not sufficient to meet the requirements, it was attempted to bring in Jersey, Holstein, etc. to go in for crossbreeding to raise the milk yield of the animals. This experience has now taught enough well that the crossbreds are not able to perform very well in due course of time. Initially they will. When we have the crossbred, that is the first filial generation, scientists will call it F1. At this stage, the animals will produce better than the indigenous parent in terms of milk. That is the only factor we are seeing here. These will perform better. But as you go to the next generation of these animals, like filial 2, F2, or further, then it has been recorded enough well that there is a decrease of 19% in terms of milk yield from F1 to F2. From F1 to F3, the recorded decrease was 23%, and that subsequently also goes on. What happens after F4 and F5 generations? At that time, the animals of the crossbred kind perform almost equally well as the indigenous. Their size also has reduced because the area is not able to support the big size. The biomass is not able to support. The feed and fodder is not able to support. Even in the conditions where you are able to provide good amount of feed fodder, like they call it ad libitum the animal is to take. Even in those areas, it has been recorded enough well. The crossbreds and their subsequent generations of crossbreds are not able to perform enough well. That is the reason we say that the indigenous breeds and their features and qualities become important. It is heat tolerance, it is disease resistance, it is their power to survive, it is their another important power to be able to convert whatever feed is available. When we say whatever feed is available is even on the roadside. in pastures which are not very properly maintained as pastures, because that is a system. The grass is there, some grass is there. From that, whatever little grass is available, these animals are able to convert. They have the system, they have the alimentary canal, they have the kind of enzymes, they have the kind of internal systems that these get the maximum out of whatever poor quality feed fodder is available. Another very important trait of these animals, the indigenous breeds. And we are utilizing the biomass in a very positive manner. The biomass, if it was not utilized, it could even become a source of pollution, for the simple reason that the leaves are falling, and if these are not properly changed into manure, somebody burns these, nobody utilizes them, then this goes unutilized. What the cows will do, they will eat that kind of material which otherwise doesn't have much value. Nobody is going to collect these. It's the cattle which will be grazing and utilizing that and convert it into milk. Again, a very important item for human. So this is the kind of reasons that we say are the features, are the qualities of the indigenous breeds.
What about the hump on the back, which is also seen as a very specific feature for collecting solar energy?
Yes. Indian indigenous breeds are characterized by a hump on their back. This hump was not there initially. Initially, I mean, let me say something like 20,000 years ago, when the change occurred from the common parent towards the taurine breeds and the indicus breeds. In the Indian subcontinent, there was a need of the animal to work in the field, and slowly there was a change from the flat top to a hump coming up at the shoulders. And this hump is also having what they call is Surya Ketu Nadi. There is where the solar radiations falling on the hump are converted. This is what has been mentioned in Vedas and other holy books, and that when the solar radiations fall on Surya Ketu Nadi, then these are converted into a yellow substance. Scientifically, we know it as a precursor of vitamin A, carotene or beta carotene, and subsequently goes into the milk. The quality of the milk is much better. This is the reason it has been mentioned. Even it is said that it results into a very extremely minute quantities of gold, and that color of the gold and the color of the milk are much similar, so it must be that from there these points are coming up, even though there is no scientific proof that gold is present there. It is this belief going on which makes people give more value to the cow milk. But there are very specific reasons which have been found out to give higher value to cow milk. And those reasons are its immunomodulatory properties, which are now being defined. Immunomodulatory properties are the ones which, by virtue of this, the cow milk, when human beings take, gives to the human beings the power to fight with diseases. The immune system of the humans is strengthened by taking the cow milk. And this is the broadly what is happening and what is generally believed about the cow hump in the cow and the bull.
What are the indigenous breeds that are the most threatened by extinction at the moment?
Yes, the country is having about 64 breeds and populations, out of which 30 have been defined. There are three more which NBAGR organization at Karnal is work. They have worked more seriously and they have found out that this could be 33 even at present. But there are more. The other names which are coming up are like in Odisha, there is Motu breed, there is Binjapuri breed, there is Khareyar breed, there is Ghumsuri breed, and like that in other parts of the country there are more breeds which are not defined, but we often call them as lesser known breeds. These are the strains of the breeds uh, that make 64 so far recorded. There could be more, as the names like Sanchori and the names as you hear in the local places. Uh, it could be that those are really different and unique. It has to be ascertained that their numbers are sufficient, they have unique traits, and they are able to produce enough well and uniquely well, distinguishingly well in their own area where these are surviving. And if that is there, these could well be called as a breed in themselves. And if we take the definition given by Food and Agriculture Organization Rome FAO, then these are all different breeds because these are the geographical indicators about the breed. Different tract, different system where these animals are performing, and they are able to perform in an efficient manner, they should be termed as a breed. That way we have got about 64. Now, these are the different kinds that we have. The defined breeds, some of the names, let us get some more names of the defined breeds. We said Malvi, Mewati, Tharparkar, and Gir, Kankraj, Rathi, Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, Deoni, Vichur, Punganur, etc. Now the question was that which of these are really being threatened at present? Some of the breeds are not threatened like Gir, Kankraj, but there are others which are threatened like Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, and others which are more threatened like Punganur of Andhra Pradesh, Vichur of Kerala, even Amrit Mahal, even Krishna Valley, of which the number is now just maybe 1,000, probably less. Threatened means that these breeds are now very less in number, not even sufficient to continue to be maintained in the tract. For the maintenance of the breed as such, there is a need of a few thousand animals. If we have 10,000, we say the animals are just enough and they will continue unless if the number is going down. And the fear is for many of these the number is declining. It is continuously, gradually it is going down. That is what the records show us. For these there have to be special efforts, and efforts from everybody are required. Everyone has to contribute to this in the sense that we must increase the awareness of the importance of these breeds. In the tract proper, we need to develop a system like societies, like the people who can make awareness happen. People come to know, come to maintain. Farmers may not be able to, there has to be some support to happen. Maybe the stakeholders, maybe the scientists, maybe the NGOs, maybe other people who feel concerned about this system, because this system is for humanity as total. And globally there are views, globally there are supports coming up, and some positive rays of hope are being seen in this respect. But for some of these breeds, the situation is alarmingly, it is really alarming situation in terms of their maintenance. And we also go in for the other method of saving them. In addition to the in situ conservation, that means maintaining the animals by the farmers or maybe government sector, maybe NGOs, maybe by increasing awareness. The other system is to maintain them as ex situ. Maybe in the laboratory one can maintain their semen, their embryos, their cells, so that we can increase their number again. We don't really lose them suddenly. For that reason, the efforts of all the kinds for their conservation, increased efforts are necessary.
And what is the threshold or the limit in which, when the population is declining so much, then inbreeding becomes a problem?
Basically, uh, the scientists use a term. Uh, they use a term to define that the minimum number, or what they call as effective population size, which is basically necessary so that the population can continue to survive without appreciably increasing inbreeding. Inbreeding is a problem. This happens when the animals are less than 200. A number came up like 100 females and at least 5 males, and that number is taken to be effective population size if you want to artificially maintain a population. But this kind of system is said to be ideal, requires ideal situations which are not there in the field conditions. So we don't take this number as meaningful for the actual or field conditions. This is a very small number, maybe with the artificial populations, maybe with the population in the laboratory or fully controlled kind of environments. The number like 500 will also not be sufficient for maintaining the population, and the number has to be more. But how much more partly depends upon the kind of system where these animals are maintained. If the environment where these animals are maintained can be affected by factors like disease, like flood, like people's desire, then a higher number is necessary, because these things can change and a sudden change will decimate the population. That is not what is desired. We normally say that for our Indian conditions, a number like 10,000 is the minimum that we should have. If it is below 10,000, it should create alarms in terms of the population number going down. Inbreeding is not a problem at that number. Inbreeding is a problem if you have the numbers below 500, because you do not have sufficient males to use for that population. Inbreeding is also a problem if you have few animals located in a closed kind of a system and you go on using the males from within the system for a long time. That is to be avoided. The males can be taken from outside which are not related to the females in the closed system, so that the closed system can be maintained for a longer time. So inbreeding below 10,000 is not a very serious problem. Below 500, definitely it's a serious problem. But a number below 10,000, I'll say, is a problem for the maintenance of the breed as such.
Which breed are below the threshold of 10,000 and which are below the threshold of 500?
Today, out of the 64 breeds, some of the names I said, let us take 3 which are seriously being threatened. And these are Amrit Mahal and Vichur and Punganur. Amrit Mahal, in fact, it is Krishna Valley of the tract which is more seriously being affected. So let us say that it is Krishna Valley and Vichur and Punganur. But Amrit Mahal is also now entering into that same situation of decrease in number. And for some more breeds, the situation is now going towards this, the number coming down.
What are their population for these things?
For Vichur, the population is less than 300 today. There are about 100 cattle in a university in Kerala. There are about 120 animals with the NGOs who are working on this, or they have the records. of these animals being maintained in the farm at the farmer's place, and we expect there will be some more animals if you go beyond, if you go to distant places. So definitely not more than 300 to the best of our knowledge. Similarly for Punganur, the number is not more than 200. That is the situation. For Krishna Valley, the number has gone down drastically. It is less than 200 today.
And once the proper care and attention is given, how fast can we replenish the population? Because sometimes farmers they say, that, well, cows they're like rabbits. If you let them go, they'll reproduce so much.
Yes, this is a very proper point. If you leave to them to themselves, if you leave them to themselves and let them have the feed fodder as it grows naturally, normally, and do not really intervene with them, the expectation is they will increase in their number, but that is something which is not happening, which might not really happen. The system that we are today, the animals are living with the farmers, and the farmers are affected by the production of the animals and subsequently their maintenance. In the system present, it may be difficult to say how fast, but it's only a matter of giving attention, efforts, and the right people doing the job. The number can be increased doubtlessly, and taking full care of control of inbreeding and putting out all the means that we have at our control, including in situ and ex situ conservation. It's more a matter of management that it can be done, not very necessarily only funds. Definitely there is a need because the animals are not producing so much in terms of their output of milk, which is a cash item from the cattle. So the people are not inclined to maintaining them. That is agreed. That means some economic support is necessary, at least for the time being, until it is well understood that the dung and the urine from these animals can also be converted into cash. And when that is done, we know the animals would be fully able to support themselves in terms of supporting the farmers, who will get something for the farmer himself and also enough to feed the animals and maintain the animals, and environment is one reason in that. That is the process where we are maintaining the environment also. For that we have to pay the cost of maintaining a better environment. That cost can go into maintaining the animals. That's it.
Where funds are available, what would be the annual ratio of aggrandizement that can be expected in a population?
Generally 10%. The population increases. Basically the population is there. At a moment we see this is the population, this many cows are there, this many bullocks are there, and this many calves are there. This is a momentary picture. This picture will increase by 10 to 15% in the coming times as the time passes. That is the normal rate of the new calves which are coming up are to replace the old ones and also increase the population number. If better attention is given, economics is not made the reason to cull them, then the population will increase up to 50% rate. That means in a situation, that is per generation, in a situation where we have 100 animals, in the next generation we can expect 150, and a generation is generally of 4 to 5 years of length depending upon which population you are dealing with, and that definitely is a good rate, provided we do not weigh everything against the economics of output. We weigh everything, even if we weigh everything from the total output from the animal including environment improvement, then it can still meet the conditions, the rigorous conditions of economics. But to be able to increase the population in a big way, if we are all going to work in that direction, we have great hope of 50% increase every generation of the population that we have at hand.
So these three breeds of cow that specifically you have defined as being very endangered, uh, if somebody would like to come and set up Gaushalas, for those specific breeds, where would be the ideal areas to set up those Gaushalas, and what would be basically the thing they should be aware of to have a successful attempt?
This is a very important question, but it has got both the kinds of meanings. Number one, for these three kind of breeds which we have said are at risk. At the same time, this concept is to be used separately for all the other breeds where the numbers may be not extremely low, but still they need support because overall the number is declining. First, these three breeds. Setting up a Gaushala. Basically, setting up a Gaushala is a very positive concept for any of these livestock cattle breeds. And setting up of a Gaushala may not today be feasible for these three particular breeds we have said, Krishnavalli, Punganur, Vichu, just because there is not sufficient numbers left in the tract. Setting up of a Gaushala for these breeds needs all out efforts. A whole group, a whole team, and a whole scheme is to work, and an initiation of a Gaushala with at least 5 cows is to begin. For that, the support can be taken from a place like Manuti, where they have a good number of animals, from NGOs in Kerala itself that are working, and from other organizations, the farmers. In the Vichur village which I happened to visit, I could see only 2 animals. The situation is really grave. The good thing would be that even if it is 5 animals to make a beginning, in my opinion, beginning should be made. The feeling that the number is too little and the Gaushala may not be begin with a big number should not hinder us in beginning a Gaushala with just 5 animals, with 5 cows, and some expectation of either semen or maybe the bull of the same breed from some place surrounding, for Vichur, for Punganur, and also for Krishnavalli. There are other breeds where the number is coming down, like Rathi, another excellent milch breed of the country. For that also, there is a need to set up Gaushala. There are already some Gaushalas where a little fine tuning is required. These Gaushalas are generally having mixed animals, and we generally discuss with those people that out of these mixed animals you can separate out the best few which belong to the breed of the local area. For example, Bhadriya Gaushala has a good number of Tharparkar pure animals as well as mixed. Those pure Tharparkar animals can be separated out and kept separately from others, and can be given a better bull of the same breed, and then the calves coming from there can be used when they become bulls in the same Gaushala and in the surrounding Gaushalas. That kind of a scheme can give increased number of the purebreds, and that kind of activity is required for all the breeds. Even if it is Gir where the number is sufficient, we can go ahead for increasing the improvement of the animals.
And let us say specifically, let me ask specifically in the Mangalore Udupi tract of land, which is the shore of Karnataka, in the before this whole hilly terrain, what would be these endangered species that could be protected in that area? Because in the Udupi area, Mangalore area, there is some economic prosperity and also some piety that people can be easily, you know.
Okay. This tract of the country of Karnataka, Mangalore, Udupi, and the surrounding areas basically is characterized with high rainfall, and biomass is available. Even if there is not excellent grasses and feed fodder available, there is still minor feed fodder available sufficiently well. There is, however, no breed, none of the defined breeds for the area as per the knowledge at present. But the animals which are prevalent in the area and termed as Malnad Gidda, and it's a lesser known breed, that means the animals are there, but only thing is it hasn't been documented enough well to be called as a breed. These animals have been taken up for further studies at present, and now we expect that these animals uh, will soon be called as a breed if efforts by the people in the tract, in the area, and other stakeholders and other agencies in the country, uh, they join hands to put efforts in that. Maybe some societies can come up, then pressure can be built that the animals are there, and we have seen the animals are different and unique. We have seen the animals are very well tuned to the area where these are surviving, and these animals have, there's a great potential with these animals to develop further better. Basically, there was not really much attention to the improvement of these animals. So over the years, over the decades, these animals have further reduced in size, and the selection process hasn't been effectively utilized to select out the better ones, better in terms of performance, which is required. Field activity is there, milk is the requirement. For these aspects, better of the animals could have been, should have been selected. That part hasn't taken place, but we are not really very late in that still, if efforts are done right away. The animals have shown a potential of up to 5 kilograms of milk yield. The animals which are generally 90 kilogram in weight, and we have seen animals of 120, 125 kilograms of weight. The better of the animals are able to perform better in the field conditions. We do not have to import animals or cattle from other areas. The better of the animals, if these are bred, these are made to procreate, then we shall be having better selected animals. And the bulls, if the bulls are made available to the farmers, to the villages, to the people, to the stakeholders, to the societies, or their semen is made available, if they accept it, then this is the other way in which we can go for better selection. Basically, if we see the tract is having the terrain which is hilly kind of, and rainfall being high, many of the nutrients leach down to the lower levels in the soil, in the earth, and thereby the biomass is not really very strong in terms of nutritional aspects, and that contributes to reducing the size of the animals. In the hilly terrain, the animal has to be light weighted to be able to walk up and down. That naturally has reduced the size. We shouldn't work against this natural process. Natural process of reduction in size is now stabilized. There is not further reduction in size, but the animals of 120 kilograms are doing well. So that should give us an idea that the animals of 80 kilograms should be raised to the 120 kilograms, because that is the size where these can really work in the field. There could be other ingenious ways. For example, instead of using one Malnad Gidda bull to work in the tract, why not use two? And the other important idea is, why not use four like they use in horses? So change the system of putting number of bulls from 2 to 4 and then working these simultaneously, so that there is enough strength for the field working in that area. This kind of research and activities need to happen. The basic idea to be kept is, it is the requirements of the region, the constraints of the region, the problems, and whatever gifts the region has. Some biomass is there, the kind of climate is there. That entirety, that total system supports Malnad Gidda breed. So we need to support Malnad Gidda breed, but make little ingenious entries into that, so that the farmers' requirements are also met. The selection for draft and milk to a good extent can be done simultaneously. Let the animals be of dual type, give some more milk, maybe half a little more, and are of a little bigger size so that they perform better. Their bulls, their bull calves can perform better in the field. That's quite fine. Uh, that would be the way to go ahead for this region, this breed, local systems, local breed, local region, local conditions, local support. That has to be kept in mind fully well.
So you're suggesting that it is better to go into improving the local breed. That will is also important work which has not been taken up.
Precisely. And all out efforts need to go into the direction of taking care of the locals and not so quickly importing. Whenever there is a need to import, there has to be a genetic support test. That has, so long as that test is not there, it is not known how the incoming breed will be able to support, will be able to survive. We shouldn't go in for importing. Let me add to that, even other breeds from India itself, other indigenous breeds from distant areas shouldn't be tried. There are now some examples, like Tharparkar breed was tried in Tamil Nadu and it was a failure. There are other examples in India and abroad where a breed was taken to a distant place with the hope that no, there will be a big change, big improvement. That improvement which was seen initially vanished as the time passed. So the things come back to what is convenient for the nature to maintain its own track. So the best bet is to take care of the local systems, local breed and local setup in a much bigger way with all out efforts.
To come back to these three breeds that are very much endangered, could you please specify the tract of land would be best maintained?
Yes, for Vichur it is Kerala, where the Vichur breed is there. Vichur basically is a village, and the animals are little spread out from there. Village doesn't have more than two, as we noted last time, but these are now spread out and have been taken, and there are people who are working for that. That makes the tract of the breed Vichur. Punganur is the breed. Punganur is the breed which is there in Andhra Pradesh, and the area which is adjoining Karnataka. That is the place where Punganur breed is present. And for Krishna Valley, the breed is Karnataka itself. There is a tract for Krishna Valley adjoining the Amrit Mahal tract. These are the areas, the states like Karnataka, Andhra, and Kerala for these three breeds.
What was the first one again?
First one was Vichur.
So this Vichur cow, which is doing well in Kerala, would it do well also in Karnataka?
In fact, not. In fact, not. Karnataka has its own breeds, and it is those breeds which need to be perpetuated in Karnataka. We agree. More often the breeds are draft type, but then those breeds can be slowly changed into dual kind if we don't wait for just say 1 year and get the results. It takes a little longer. Let it take little longer, but utilize the genetic makeup which are adjusted to that particular climate and area. So not a big change. Don't make a big change. Try to retain the area, the track where the breed is. You may go little ahead. Other good thing is that for the breed tracts, you have a breed, you have cattle not belonging to that breed in the surrounding areas. The good thing is that the breed animals, bulls from the breed animals are used on those animals which are in the surrounding area, so that purity increases. Purity has a sense that it is this kind of pure animals which are doing most efficiently for that given kind of conditions. And as the time passes, these also slowly adapt to the changing conditions. That naturally happens without explicit efforts by human beings. We can only affect it to the direction, and we should, to make an animal which is for draught purpose to give some milk as well, to give little more milk, because that will satisfy the nutritional requirements as well while meeting the draft requirements of the area.
Dr.
धन्यवाद,
Sadana, thank you very
नमस्कार,
much.
आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna